Intentional Currency podcast. My name is Yasmin. I'm the founder of the Intentional Currency, and our mission is to help Muslim women take control of their money, build wealth in a way that's pleasing to Allah, and feel confident making financial decisions that serve their families and their communities. In this podcast, we're bringing you real conversations from some incredible women who share our mission. These women are leaders, change makers, and financial literacy advocates from around the world. Together, we'll explore what it means to create wealth that's rooted in faith and designed to have a positive impact. Each guest brings their own journey, their struggles, their wins, whether it's setting up an emergency fund, learning how to invest, or figuring out how to manage finance and family. Our hope is that their stories inspire you, empower you, and remind you that financial empowerment is for every Muslim woman who wants it. Thank you so much for joining us, and let's get into the conversation. Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to the Intentional Currency podcast. I am so excited to have a very special guest with us today. Welcome, Kawtar, to the podcast. So happy to have you here. How are you doing?
Hello, thank you for having me here. I'm so excited to be here. I'm doing very, very well, yeah. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you for joining us all the way from Italy. We're very, very excited to have you. So before we get started, I just wanted to quickly ask you to give a little bit of your background and what kind of brought you into the ambassador program at the Intentional Currency. How did you become passionate about financial literacy?
Yeah, so, okay, my background is in statistics. I've always been passionate about math and like studying everything like that. How can we model reality, and finding also a quantitative way to find like solutions and technical solutions to problems, to real problems. Because it's the more than the political word is the way that can actually help to make real changes. Our Ummah for now our community is not strong on a political level. So we have to, I think I see it more on a doable way to go on the financial market and there try to impact and give like a higher influence with our action and how we invest our money and how we manage our money. So yeah, then I see it also in myself, like the community, the Italian community, for example, the Muslim Italian community is we are the second generation here, so most of the Muslims are not really literated about finances, and we're also daughters and the sons of parents who came here to work. And their first aim was to just like have their first income, while we are the first generation that are actually trying to build our wealth and actually improving our financial situation. So we have to learn everything on our own. So yeah, like I tried to learn. I find my way to start learning it, and I see also all the challenges, the difficulties. Of course, it's something that just because there are some things that are haram, people like just try to stay really away from everything just because there are some specific things that are haram. So and they don't get the opportunities that actually we do have. So yeah, I see that there isn't enough awareness. I didn't find easily the tools. I had to do a lot of research. So I realized that actually there is a lot to do. So yeah, when I came across to your profile, of course I started following you and then seeing all the content that was really useful for me. So then when I learned about the ambassador program, of course I decided to join and trying to make financial literacy more accessible to women in general. So yeah, that's the reason why.
Yeah, inshallah. Honestly, I love the point that you made about the fact that as an ummah politically, without financial literacy, we're not as strong as we could be. And because we're living in such a capitalist society, the only way for us to really exercise our power and our influence is if we understand how to use money and how to invest and how to grow our wealth. And so, like you said, this kind of feels like the next step for us. is
Yeah.
now that we have jobs, now that we're comfortable, we have this financial, like the basic security. Now, how do we use this to move to the next level, inshallah?
Yeah, exactly. So not just like staying in the just surviving survival mode, but actually how we can help ourselves also, and our families and our community.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's really important what you mentioned, because that's a big part of financial literacy for me as well, is that as women, it's not just about becoming financially literate and buying a brand new car, right? Like it's actually about uplifting our communities, uplifting our families, making things better for the people around us. And so it's not something that's selfish at all. It's actually very community driven.
Yeah, yeah. Also, it's I think sometimes just because we have some kind of privileges as Muslim women, this does not mean that we don't have to take our wealth in our hands. We still have some money to manage, which is our money, and we have the opportunity to make the best out of our money. Also, like of course, just if you think also about all the zakat and humanitarian work, it also requires a lot of money. You can't just make a association or nice, effective organization that can help people that you would like to help without money. Everything requires it. So it doesn't necessarily need to be something selfish. You can do it for education of your kids. You can do it for like everything actually. So or just try getting less stressed about your money. So because I think also stress is an important side for me. Or for example, it was so um, stressing about maybe some emergency that can come up, or um, if you don't have a plan, if you don't manage your finances, then you became kind of a servant of your finances. So yeah.
That's such a good point. And I think that that is for everybody the first step. The first step before you even think about investing or before you even think about wealth is making sure that you've set up some financial security for yourself, and that you know how much money you spend every month. You know how much you need, that you have some savings. And to really get out of that cycle of always spending every dollar until you get to zero, or every dollar until you're at the limit, and living in that constant stress, especially as women, because we take care of our kids, and we take care of our communities. When we're stressed out, everybody around us suffers.
Yeah.
And so, even exactly like you said, like it's not even so far as giving zakat or giving sadaqah, but even just the fact that you are making sure that you're not in a constant state of stress is such a great reason to learn
Yeah.
about financial literacy. I wanted to kind of ask you how your identity as a Muslim woman affects the way that you see and manage money.
Okay. So let's say Islam like really teaches me the or give me the value of abundance in terms of money and risk. So as a principle, I've always like learned and understood that it's possible to have more. It like our resources in the world are not limited. So it's not like if I give to someone, I have less. It's not like I don't know, like in general transactional. I have never seen them as real transaction, as more than maybe kind of synergies. Like when you transact money, you actually create more. And also there is also in economy and in Islamic finance, there is the concept of fil harakati baraka. So like in the movement there is baraka. So the more you actually make the money go around and circle in the economy, it's better. And also another thing is I never really thought that my money are actually my money. It's more a mean
Mm-hmm.
that God sent me so that I have to use them in a proper way. So I think it helped me somehow to stress a little bit less, uh, but also like that I have a responsibility on that money. So, for example, if I get the money, okay, so these ones are not actually mine. Um, if there is someone in need, I have to give to them because I'm just a mean. Um, but also that, for example, if I spend them for a good purpose, I know that they're gonna come back.
You have this constant trust and understanding that money's not coming from your job, it's not coming from your husband, it's not coming from the
Yeah,
government. Money's coming from Allah. It's a
yeah,
beautiful way to detach. And it also protects your ego, because then when you see all of this money sitting in the bank, you see it as a trust that Allah's given to you, and not as something that, you're the smartest person in the world, or because you work so hard, or because of all of these things that can, make us arrogant. And so it's a beautiful way to look at it. And I actually didn't know this word of barakah that you mentioned, of the transfer of money, how it increases the barakah. SubhanAllah.
yeah. And I don't know why there is like this kind of misconception uh, of managing money. It's like you care too much about money, but actually, I think people who don't, they get more obsessed about money. So I think like people that I know that actually manage their money and their finances, they just don't care about them that much because they know how much they have to spend for each side of their needs and everything. So then they just live their life and maybe focusing more on the spiritual level. I don't know. So it's yeah, there's this conception which is so wrong, and also the kind of the myth of poverty that seems to be idealized somehow, while actually in
Hmm.
our religion it's not recommended. Our prophet was always praying to avoid poverty, and one of the yeah the common du'as that are recommended for us is are du'as that yeah, they try to save us from extreme poverty, because it's not what is meant for us. Like to be a good Muslim and a good human, you need to have your basics on point so that you can focus on other things. So yeah.
This is such a good point. And this is kind of what I was going to get at, because when we talk about Islamic finance, what a lot of people are thinking about is they're thinking of their experience around money growing up or in their community. And a lot of us, the way that we were taught about money and finances actually has to do with our culture and not Islamic finance. And exactly as you said, a lot of our cultural practices glorify poverty and glorify like modesty to the point where you're stressed about money all the time. And exactly as you mentioned, ultimately, if you don't take the time to manage your money is going to control your life, and you're going to be thinking about it all the time and stressed about it all the time. And this is not for us as Muslims. We should be managing our money and ensuring that we're not in a state of poverty, so that we can actually go out and be more productive with our time and our resources.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah, probably just as you said, we are like our view is really impacted by the background, so maybe the culture that we came from, and when maybe there aren't enough money, then you grow up with a scarcity mindset of how you manage the finances. But actually, again, Islam like really teaches us to have an abundance mindset on how we gonna manage our finances, which is a really game changer.
absolutely, absolutely, it's a huge game changer. So you kind of touched on this, but I wanted to really ask you, what part do you think Baraka plays in your finances, and how you manage your finances?
Okay, so it's just like you understand that money are not an absolute value, so there is a like a relative value to it. If I see 1K in my bank account, it doesn't mean necessarily it's not the same every time. So subhanallah, if you are in need, like there are months in which you can live up really well with just a little money, and you don't feel it, subhanallah. So yeah, I think baraka is this, it's like this relative component that we don't really know about, that help us regarding maybe our intentions, our how we are gaining that money and how we use that money. And also again, it's since maybe we are again just a mean, maybe there is someone in need in that moment, you feel that you don't have enough money, but you give it to them, and subhanallah, like you don't feel that loss, let's say. So how it impacts on first my intentions. So it helps me to like I have to remember that like I have to set my intentions right. So giving a lot of sadaqah intentionally again, but yeah. So when you spend also in general, but also on the cause of Allah, of course, then for that I just don't think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I completely agree. And I think the beautiful thing about barakah is that there's no currency that limits barakah. And so you can, for example, give a little bit of sadaqah, and maybe you don't necessarily see in your finances that it's been returned to you, but maybe, Allah's protected the health of your family, or Allah's, protected you from some sort of disaster. I wanted to ask you because, when I grew up, women didn't really have a specific role when it comes to money, in the sense that you get married, your husband takes care of the main expenses. And it's true, like if you work, you have some money on the side. But most of the women who I grew up around, even if they did work, they didn't have a long term plan. And most of their money just, they made their money and they spent it on, family or gifts or clothes. And so I wanted to ask you, how do you think that our ummah can change if Muslim women start to become intentional with their money?
Beautiful question. I think in general, okay, so first of all, they can be able to take care of themselves better, because as you said, maybe they spend them a lot on their kids, on their, like, even if the main expenses are paid, actually, like, there are still a lot of costs that still have to be covered. So I think we're gonna find maybe happier women, that's gonna be more like the wellness gonna improve, and with that maybe like better families, um, like I would say also on a well-being point of view, I think there would be a lot of improvement. And also then there is, it's like we're gonna be able to hear women voices, because again we are in a capitalistic world, in a capitalistic system. So with women being intentional in their finances, yeah, they're gonna finally have an impact. And sometimes we have like we can't really rely on men to make our voices heard. So I think yeah, we're gonna have like a voice in the market, in usually women are a little bit more sensitive on some topics that are maybe more, for example, regarding sustainability, regarding social aspects. So I think we will be able to actually create maybe a better word, actually, because the markets nowadays drive the word. So with our demand, if we actually impact our side of the demand, we're gonna impact on the market. So yeah, like by raising our values and our voices, we will be able to change the world in a better way.
SubhanAllah, it's amazing when you put it like this. I'm just imagining, I think most women, when they think about budgeting or their emergency fund or saving for retirement or investing, they're not seeing how powerful it actually is when all of us as a collective get together and decide that we're going to be intentional. And subhanAllah, it's true when you say that we would have happier women, and happier women would mean stronger families. Stronger families would mean stronger communities. And there's really never been, I think, a time where we need to have stronger communities. Thank you so much for sharing. Even me, I learned so much. And it's so inspiring, all of the reminders about barakah and about intention and about how powerful this is.
Thank you for having me. It was really nice to be here.